So whatever you think of the Chinese, they're definitely not stupid, and they're onto something here. Affirmative action hurts Asians. That is true, and everyone knows it. A study of Harvard's admissions policies, for example, found that if the school admitted students solely on merit, as we thought they did, the percentage of Asian students in a given class would double to 43%. Now, Harvard doesn't want that many Asians. So it denies admissions to Asians because they're Asian. That is the definition of discrimination. That's what racism is. But it's everywhere. It's going on in all elite schools right now, as well as in almost every major corporation. The current administration wholeheartedly supports it. The Biden DOJ dropped a lawsuit against Yale University for racist anti-Asian admissions practices, which were proved, by the way. It wasn't an allegation. They got a hold of Yale's admissions standards, which showed unequivocally Asians were denied entry because they were Asian. But the Biden DOJ didn't want to pursue it because they supported it. The attacks on standardized testing, by the way, have the same effect. We have standardized tests for a reason. They were created so that people who have no social connections, ambitious and talented immigrants, for example, could succeed in this country too. People like that have no one to write recommendation letters for them. They don't have rich uncles who sit on the board of this or that school, but they're smart and they work hard. And we wanted a place for them in our hierarchy because this was the land of opportunity, remember? So we created standardized tests so that they could make it too. People from nowhere could succeed on their own talents. That was the idea, but not anymore. Standardized tests are disappearing thanks to lobbying from BISAW, from woke Democrats. The meritocracy is racist, they claim, so is succeeding through hard work. Who do these poisonous ideas hurt most? Well, in Boston, as in so many places around the country, public schools have suspended an advanced work program due to, quote, concerns about equity. The real concern is the skin color of the students in the advanced program. Liberals were mad that the classes were too Asian. You're seeing this everywhere. Thomas Jefferson High School in Virginia, for example. Many elite high schools in New York. They're all changing admissions because there are too many Asians in the classes. We all see this happening. No one in this country mentions it. You know who else notices it? The Chinese. Why wouldn't they? On the one hand, they're offended by it because the BISAW's so-called equity programs always wind up hurting people who look like them. On the other hand, the Chinese government is pleased as they watch this because no country that penalizes people for intelligence and hard work can last very long. The Chinese have been around long enough to know that's true. Kenny Xu is the author of the upcoming book, An Inconvenient Minority, which is about discrimination in the Ivy League and how it hurts Asian Americans in this country. He's also the host of the Inconvenient Minority podcast, and we're happy to have him on tonight. Kenny Xu, thanks so much for joining us.
Tucker, it's great to be here. Tucker, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So you hear a lot of people increasingly, because there are rewards for claiming to be a victim of this or that, stand up and say, I've been discriminated against. What makes these cases, the ones that you have focused on, so different is that they are provable. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we have evidence that people are being denied admission because of their skin color, do we not?
Yes, we have a lot of evidence, Tucker. Harvard University, and I tell about this in my book, An Inconvenient Minority, Harvard University grades applicants on three things: academics, extracurriculars, and a personality score. But what they do with the personality score, which is an entirely subjective metric, is that they use it to discriminate against Asian Americans using these invidious, vicious stereotypes against Asian Americans to say, oh, we're just test-taking robots with no personalities. That's what they're doing to try to lower our composition in these elite universities, and it's damaging our culture of excellence.
Well, that's it. And that's why I'm so offended by it. It's nothing to do with the race of anyone involved. It has to do with the American idea, which is, if you work hard, if you're talented, we have a place for you. You can ascend the ladder. It's not closed to you. It's open. That's the whole point of the country. And it seems like a lot of Asian immigrants particularly kind of bought into that. They believed that was the case. That's why they came here, and they found something very different.
Yes, and Tucker, Chinese Americans know this perhaps even better than many other Americans because China underwent its own cultural revolution, right? Where they discriminated, where they persecuted those who they deemed as intellectuals. It was a very anti-meritocratic ideology, Tucker, and it set their country back for many years. They're still dealing with the effects today. So they understand the lessons that what happens when you persecute those who perform. And we're undergoing the same kind of viciousness here today.
That is a fascinating point that had not occurred to me until you just said it. So they've been through this cycle of insanity. And of course, an awful lot of people died in the Cultural Revolution. How do you think they view the woke revolution underway in this country?
Tucker, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us because while we are discriminating against the most meritorious, while we're fomenting this race war, while we're talking about all of these ideas of equity and inclusion, China is just marching on ahead. They're talking with their tech billionaires. They're talking with their lead economic geniuses, and they're marching ahead in this war and this competition between the U.S. and China for tech supremacy, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Yeah, if not the head. Kenny, I appreciate the clarity of what you just said and the fascinating point you made about the Cultural Revolution. Pretty amazing. Thanks for coming on. Congrats on the book. I appreciate it, Tucker. Thank you.